think we'll be right now.
Aurora, is that a girl's name?
Well, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Terrible, isn't it?
Yes, I'm looking forward to it, but it's a lot of work and we're only just finishing off the details at the moment.
Hi, Zilla.
I'm going to meet a lot of my relatives tonight that I haven't seen for years and years and years, so we're all sort of pretty excited because they've come from the country and it's an interstate, so it's going to be really lovely.
Should be a very good evening. The atmosphere is tremendous, absolutely tremendous.
We had a bit of stuff laying about, and I thought, well, we're going down to the Big Smoke. We don't come down here very often, and one gentleman here, obviously a city bloke, said he thought that the hat might have been Henry's, and but it is an old hat, but it's not quite that old.
It's very nice meeting so many of the enormous family, the 500 of us that are here tonight.
Well, when I was about 5, my grandfather used to put me on his knee and tell me all about it, so it's just a fabulous history, it really is.
You've all seen those 2 big cakes outside in the lobby. We've got 2 trolleys out here ready, so as soon as we finish serving pre-drinks, a couple of you guys will get the trolleys from the back and get the cakes and put them on and wheel them all the way here. Okay? So after we clear the main course, we'll wheel those trolleys.
Jim Kable. I'm a descendant of William Nathaniel. Yes. And my wife Helen and I are delighted to be here tonight. We came down from Brisbane and brought the rain with us, unfortunately. One of the classic stories, I'm convinced, of the First Fleet, of course, is Henry and Susanna. It's a story that I know in my family we were told about it for years and years before it became known generally that the people who came out in the First Fleet did this extraordinary job in the birth of this country. It's a verbal history, and this is a thing that always intrigues me because there have been aspects of the Henry and Susanna story that, quite frankly, when my dad told me about the story, I wondered whether all of you here tonight as Kable descendants would have heard the same story. Because handing a story down like that verbally, I guess, there are a little bit of the things that are left out and things that are added on and so on. The story as I was told it, however, is exactly the same story I'm sure that all of you have heard, and the reason why most of us are here tonight. The child born to 2 convicts. That extraordinary ride from Plymouth to London and back by the turnkey Simpson. The extraordinary court case, how a convict could ever have sued a captain for money that was missing on that voyage, I will never know. The marriage of Henry and Susanna, which really we're celebrating tonight, it's 3 days late, of course. They were married on the 10th of February 1788. And the story that I don't know that anybody will ever be able to prove, but we will all of us consider it to be absolute truth, and that is that Henry was the first man to set foot on Australia because he carried Governor Phillip ashore. In my opinion, there's no question about the validity of that story.
I'm Phil Kable, the descendant of John, and I have a... I have a slightly different grace to suit the occasion. Let's give thanks. We, members of the Kable family, give thanks for the progress, prosperity, peace and freedom which have marked the past 200 years and the growth of our family in Australia. We now ask God for your blessing on this gathering. Through it may we all be encouraged to strive to maintain and develop the heritage of values to which the Kable family and Australia owe so much. Amen.
This, I think, is going to be the most interesting part of the evening. At least to me it's going to be an interesting part of the evening. As I mentioned to you right at the beginning, I'm descended from William Nathaniel. Well, we'll have a chance soon to just see who we've got in tonight. I believe John was the one who was the most profligate of the lot. And although I don't know that it's the place to recognise particular people, nonetheless there are a number of people here tonight that I think we should recognise. And if your name comes out of the hat, would you mind just standing so that we can all identify you? For example, tonight we have at least one of our relatives from the United States, Alan Wilde. Is Alan in the audience? What I'd like to do is to find out just how Henry's children finally made their impact on this great country. As I went through the list of names of the children of Henry and Susanna, I was quite surprised, and always have been surprised, by the number of children who really didn't have any offspring. Henry Jr., for example, never had any children. Enoch, as I'm sure most of you know, died at infancy. James must have had an extraordinary life. He was killed by Malay pirates at the age of 17. Susanna had no children. Charles Dickinson, who apparently was retransported to the Moreton Bay colony, and as far as we can gather had no children. And Edgar James, who had one child, that child died very early.